We are at the cusp of a very, very exciting time ahead. But this exciting time ahead has to be innovation-led. And we have to create the world's most exciting innovation ecosystem because of the sheer size that we command as a country. We are over 1 billion people. And we have, therefore, the most daunting challenges that we as a nation, we as a people have to contend with. And as they say, necessity is the mother of invention and innovation. And because of this, I think we have to really solve these daunting challenges, these problems, very purposefully and improve our lives. That's what these innovation ecosystems are all about. And I have no doubts about it that, of course, every country in the world, every economy in the world is pursuing an innovation-led strategy for economic competitiveness. And today it's very well understood that innovative or innovation-led ecosystems are the unit of competitiveness, are the units of competence, and are the units of differentiation and of growth. So this is what it's all about. And if we don't really create these innovation ecosystems and enable them and leverage them and use what is coming out of these ecosystems effectively, we will not be able to really improve things on the ground. Now, every time you look at what is driving innovation and what is transformational coming from innovation, it is very event-led. And today you know that we are all at a very interesting point in time where demonetization has thrown up a huge daunting challenge for the country, but it's a huge opportunity for us to transform as well. Because today we are seeing that because of the unintended consequences that certain actions have, because you've only focused on the objectives, but not on the collateral impact it has on other things, you have these unintended consequences. Today we are talking about the fact that because India is such a cash-dependent economy, and the way you've gone about demonetization and the way we have basically lagged behind on remonetization is causing all these stresses across the economy, largely felt at the lower strata, at that part of the population that is very, very cash dependent, which is our rural population. But at the same time, I have no doubts about it, that this is an opportunity for us to leverage this unique situation to actually build a e-cash economy. And I think you're already seeing it. I think Sharad just very nicely explained about how you make this into of compelling self-interest to digitize, to really embrace this digital economy, this cashless economy. It has to be done that way. And yes, we will go through pain, we will go through a lot of inconvenience, but at the end of it, you are going to come out stronger and it is going to transform us. So despite all the voices that you hear about of dissent, of complaints, and yes, you might say that all of us are least affected and therefore we can afford to pontificate and talk the way we are, I think the point you have to remember is that today you have brought a large number of people who would have otherwise stayed out of the formal economy into the bankable formal economy. they have been forced to bank. They have been forced to remit their cash into banks. And what is happening today is because of that, you are going to be able to provide capital to these people who would have otherwise been out of the system. Sharad just talked about the fact that the moment you have various NDFCs who are willing to basically provide you a loan, they need a bankable system. And what better bankable system than an e-banking system? Because that is very cost effective. That is the most affordable way of really going about banking transactions. And this is why I believe that we all need to help in making sure that those who are now finding it difficult, I mean, of course, when you go through these kind of processes, you need to be better prepared. We are not prepared, but we need to now very quickly see what we can do to make sure that these people who have basically remitted their cash into the bank, but then don't know how to then utilize their cash or take cash out of the bank, how do we make them really adopt this digital banking system? And that is where I think we need innovation at the grassroots level, innovation at a mega level to really make all this happen. Now, according to many, many reports, by 2020, the digital payment business and sector is estimated to be a $500 billion sector in India. So you can understand what this means as an opportunity for those who play in this particular segment. And there's going to be fierce competition. E-wallets are going to be fiercely competitive. But having said that, it is a huge opportunity because by the sheer size. And what is interesting is because of the fact that e-wallets work on economies of scale, economies of high volume, obviously the transactional costs are very, very minimal. In fact, Nandan Nilekani gave a fantastic talk the other day on this very subject and said that today you have e-wallet companies that are not dependent on transaction fees for their profits, but really more from the ability to sell their data, which is really very profitable. So people using the e-wallets are not being burdened with paying high fees, but it's more to do with the fact that it gives them that ease of doing business, the convenience of transactions, and that is what will bring about this transformational change. So we haven't figured out anything as yet, but we should figure it out very fast, because this is our opportunity to leapfrog. This is our opportunity to bring about that transformational change. And these opportunities don't come every day. This is a unique opportunity. A unique opportunity created by us, by policy, created by a huge, bold reform initiative, which has had unintended consequences. But like I said, it is that situation that we need to translate into a transformative movement ahead. Now, when I look at what innovation means to us as a country, I think unless we innovate solutions for the 6 billion people who have no means to really innovate at the way the 1 billion people in the developed world innovates, I think we will miss a huge opportunity. Affordable innovation is very, very important. And what we have going for us is the fact that we do have a very rich talent pool of scientific or scientific thinking people, mathematically oriented people. We have engineering capabilities. We have challenges and business opportunities which can actually generate business innovation. We have all of this. And what we now need to do is to make sure that when we focus on innovation, it is about going through a very, very formal process. You know, innovation is not something about just getting an idea. Innovation is being able to translate that idea into a profitable commercial reality. That is what innovation is about. Today, everybody thinks innovation is just about getting an idea. But how do you then translate that idea? How do you package that idea? And how do you make a business out of it? That is what is innovation. And that goes through a process. And very often when I look at very interesting things that people have developed or innovated or developed prototypes of, I feel they haven't gone through a formal process. And why do I say that? Because one of the things is you have to look at the products that you're developing, the business models that you're developing. And I can see that they need a lot of help. So when Sharad talks about mentoring, I think there is a very, very urgent need for this kind of mentoring, where you do need to take your idea and shape it in a way that actually allows you to deliver on a commercial success with that idea. For instance, design is a very important part of innovation when you do product design. And more often than not, people are not using that design element when they're developing products. That's why you're willing to see a lot of very boxy, old-fashioned, pretty tacky, shoddy-looking stuff. It might be very smart. It might be having the best software in it. But when you look at it, you know, this must come from a country like India. That's how most people judge it. We have to change that. Design has to be an intrinsic and integral part of product making or product innovation. One of the things that I'm very closely involved with is the Shrishti School of Design. A lot on how we get people to really focus on aesthetics and design. It's very, very important for a country like ours. Because whenever you see any product coming from Europe or coming from Japan or coming from any part of the well-accepted part of the world, just the look of it makes you feel that, yes, this is a good product. You might have an equivalent Indian product with a much better, more robust internal design. But what puts you off is the external design. And therefore, I keep saying to people who are getting into product design, please focus on that. Secondly, it is about reliability and it is about quality control. It's not just about developing something that works some of the time. It's about making sure that you go through a complete quality validation process that gives you that reliability and consistency. And very often I find that entrepreneurs take shortcuts. They don't want to go through that process. They just want to get into the market. So again, I think you must realize that product innovation is a process which has to be followed in terms of quality and compliance. Thirdly, I want to also say that it's not just about developing products. Innovation can happen in many, many ways. Innovation is also about business innovation. If you look at what Dr. Devi Shetty has done, Dr. Devi Shetty has innovated a business model which delivers the lowest cost healthcare because he has a business model which he has innovated, which makes this possible. Okay? And again, when I look at this, creating this kind of ecosystem of innovation, I think Sharad mentioned that yes, you need to have collaborative innovation. You will have many, in fact, these days I find that in a particular type of, I'm very interested in med tech. And when I look at medtech, there are many, many companies trying to do very, very similar things. And I think here is where they can kind of collaborate, feed off each other, benefit from each other's work, and probably come up with a very good product, a final product through this collaborative process. But equally, what I'm finding very exciting is that all these medtech products are actually focusing on our needs in India, where we cannot simply, afford the very expensive Western med technologies that we use or have been using all these years. So today, I'm mentoring a whole bunch of companies who are developing very similar products. I was very happy to see the very low-cost stethoscope that is being developed, and there was one of the innovators explaining to me how they're doing it. And they want to do it for a very low cost. And of course, they were saying, oh, we want to develop this stethoscope and it'll cost less than $50. I said, well, don't focus on the $50. Build a business model that's based on use. And that per-use model can actually generate a much better and bigger business model. So I think entrepreneurs need to think about not just selling a product, but selling a service. I think that is a very, very interesting way to look at a business model. I'm advising quite a few companies who are developing very innovative diagnostics. And one such diagnostic is a handheld mammogram, which is a very exciting technology. The young entrepreneur has got very excited. He has worked over it for a large number of years, and today he's at a point where he has got a stamp of quality. In fact, he's been approved by US FDA. He's trying to use it as a screening device for breast cancer throughout India. He signed up with a large number of state governments to do these very low-cost mammograms of almost less than $1. Now, this was unimaginable because I think many of us know that mammograms, are very expensive pieces of equipment. They take a whole room. They cost over 1 crore of rupees. And each mammogram typically costs, women who go and get a mammogram done, 1,500 rupees, sometimes 2,000 rupees, and so on and so forth. And now you have a handheld mammogram, which is very quick it's easy to handle. You can train ASHA workers to actually do the screening, and this can be done for less than $1. So you think how we are completely disrupting the way we are diagnosing, and early diagnosis, of course, leads to better outcomes. And these are the kind of models we have to innovate on. We have to leapfrog. We have absolutely an untenable healthcare system in this country. As a government, we spend less than 1% on healthcare. But B, the more challenging aspect of healthcare is that 80% is out of pocket. And when you look at some of the expensive diseases, it even goes up to 95% is out of pocket. And many of these are not only unaffordable, but they also cause bankruptcies in many, many families. And therefore, we need to leapfrog into a digital e-healthcare kind of space. How are we going to do this? Through innovation. I think this is a very exciting time for India to lead in this kind of innovation, because everybody else is very comfortable and trapped into a traditional healthcare model, including the US. You'll be surprised to know that even the US today is not a country that has a database of electronic medical records. Now, India can actually start leapfrogging on that. I know that through our own foundation, we are creating e-primary clinics, which is actually capturing this kind of data, starting with electronic medical records. So if we can do this, if we can basically proliferate what we are doing and focus on an e-healthcare model which uses digital devices, which captures medical data, which works on telemedicine to bridge a large number of the deficits that we have in this country. You know, the doctor-patient ratio, the hospital bed people ratio, the hospital people ratio, the primary health center and people ratio. We have huge deficits in each one of these areas. And you know that in rural India, we don't have enough doctors, not because of anything else, but doctors just simply don't want to go to these rural reaches of the country. So how are we going to address that? So we then need to basically smarten up our health workers so that they can actually bridge some of that deficit. And only technology can do that. Technology is the only bridge for the kind of deficits that we are facing in this country. Technology is the only bridge that can address some of these huge gaps that we see in every part of our economy. I definitely feel that as a country, this whole concept of digital India is a very large and important mission. I think we need a strong digital mission that basically lays it all out. And I really believe that we have the people, you know, people like Sharad, people like Nandan, many others who can shape this digital mission for the country. Because as a country, unless we leverage technology to bridge all the deficits, to address all the daunting challenges, we will simply not move the needle. And therefore, I have once again come to the fact that we need to look at this kind of innovation that makes a huge difference to people in this country, to societies in this country, to our daily lives in this country. And we've seen much of this happening. It was mobile phone technology that allowed us to be connected. You know, for too long we had to contend with landlines where it was simply not possible to connect everyone. And suddenly we embraced mobile technology where it completely disrupted the space. We know today that our software engineers are basically developing the most sophisticated software for companies and countries across the world. We need to do things for ourselves as well. And therefore, every sector in our country, whether it is the banking sector, whether it is the healthcare sector, whether it is the education sector, and many, many other sectors, we need to embrace technology, because it is only through this that we can leapfrog and fix what is wrong today. And for this, we will need an army of thinkers, an army of doers, and more importantly, all of us have to believe in that mission. That is what will make it happen. So I'll just end by saying that, I think Innofest is doing a great job, and it's keeping this innovation focus going. I would like to say that India is a country that, again, has a huge potential, but when you look at some of the poor statistics, when we keep comparing ourselves to China, it's something that makes us want to aspire for more. The only sort of consolation is that in 2016, we actually climbed up 15 ranks in the innovation index from 81 to 66. So at least we are doing something right. But I think we must aspire to do much better. And I, for one, believe that India needs to build credibility in what we are doing. I think you just heard that when they were trying to get the world to notice our strengths and our leadership in SaaS, we had to make sure that a Silicon Valley insider spoke for us. And it's true even in healthcare. I know in the pharmaceutical business, whatever we are trying to do, we are trying to develop world-class products. But when I need to build credibility, it has to be an endorsement from somebody outside, not from India. And that's what we have to accept. But we must shorten that particular time in which our word will count, our action will count, our innovation will count. That's what we have to aspire for. Our credibility will be built the day Indian innovation will be right up there with everyone else, recognized as being amongst the best in the world. That's what we have to aspire for. We have to speak from our position of strength. We have to have an equal seat at the innovation table. And that's what I think we are all trying to do. I know that's what Innofest is also trying to do. So all the best, and here's to innovation.